shall say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist?
Perfect.
Thank you. So, allow me, before we begin the idea of sharing, to address something we have been discussing a little late, that we feel does pertain still to many of the ideas, many of the questions that you have formed within your reality. The idea that we have discussed, which we call faith, recognize, as we will put very simply, that many times, when individuals create in the discussion with us, with other individuals, the topic of faith, they understand to some degree that it is the mechanism by which they can create the reality they desire. But in this way, as you have created cycle of repetition for your thousands of years of the habit of separation of yourself from the all that is that you are, many times even when exploring the idea of integration, you will start out from a separated point of view or separated approach. Therefore, many times, even though you will recognize that faith is the mechanism that will allow you to create the reality that you desire to experience, once you get to that point, the next thing you usually will be found to say is, well, faith in what? Now understand, it does not matter. The idea is that faith in and of itself is the mechanism. Does not matter faith in what. This is why your faith can create any type of reality. Faith in whatever you believe in is what your reality is about. Therefore, allow me to simplify that is why, in what you call your biblical literature, with the idea of the individual you call your Christ, you will recognize that when that individual defined the reason for the abrupt change of any physical manifestation in the reality, then he ascribed it to the working of faith, but did not say faith in what. Simply that your faith is responsible for this change in your health, in this, in that. Your faith has saved you, quote unquote. It is a description that it is the faith in and of itself that is the activation mechanism. And whatever belief you plug into that faith will be the reality that you experience. Therefore, there is no need to complicate the idea by saying, well, yes, I understand it is faith, but faith in what? Simply know that faith is in and of itself the exercise. It is in and of itself the action. It is simply the willingness to know that you are the creator of your reality on whatever level you have created yourself to realize this. No need to continue to create a need for another process to discover what it is you are supposed to have faith in. The idea of faith in faith is what it takes. You follow me?
Yes.
No. Yes.
The idea of simply knowing that you know is all it takes to know whatever you need to know. For you will allow, with that activation of faith, your life will be allowed to bring to you, to attract you to whatever situations are necessary to reflect the path you chose to be. And then you can simply automatically act upon what you give yourself, for what you attract with your faith, with your knowingness, will never be a struggle nor a strain. You will find yourself expressing and exercising the ease of creation with effortlessness by simply acting upon what you attract to yourself in all good faith, that it is representative of the life you chose and not an interruption within it. Now do you follow that idea?
Yes.
Shooting!
Sure.
You then you.
Yes, I think this sort of relates to what you just said.
I'd like to share briefly that ever since you first mentioned the idea of becoming one's future self, imagining what one's future self is like and then becoming it, I have been practicing it, and I'd like to share with everybody that it really works very well. And I have suggested it to a lot of friends, and you can say it to anybody without going into a lot of metaphysical things. It's a very simple thing.
Yes.
And so I thought I'd like to share that with everybody.
Thank you very much for that creation and your willingness to recognize your own idea of acceleration. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
All right.
Voyager 2 is going to be passing Uranus, the Uranus in 2 days, and I was wondering if you knew, if you could tell us anything that we don't know yet that will be discovered in 2 days.
Do not want to take all night. Understand that in the same manner that your probes discover much with regard to your other planetary bodies, you will discover that much yet again. There are many ideas of what you call a new understanding of the mechanics of planetary formation that will become clearer, but also there will be, in your terms, 1,000 new questions that you did not know existed.
I'm sure that's true. Well, just as a very simple example, right now they know that there are 9 rings and 5 moons. And they expect that they will get...
There is the potential for the probe in the trajectory that it is on to see at least 2 or 3 more moons.
Okay, thank you. I just thought it would be an interesting thing to have you comment on.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sure. I have, for the last few months, my right eye has been blurry, and I can, first of all, I wanted to share the purpose that I feel behind that is that it enabled me to kind of move into another reality while still being here at the same time.
All right, very good.
Because I'm not...
You are becoming bifocal.
Okay. But I also get scared about it because of I think I've mentioned to you my fear of blindness and
all right.
So
but understand that the idea of your fear of blindness, in a sense, was a precognition of the symbol that you would choose now to give yourself this opportunity to become bifocal. Only then, from your separated point of view in the precognition, did you assume that it meant literal blindness. You follow me?
Yes. Okay. And I feel that this is a temporary condition as far as that blurriness. It just feels like there's a film over my eye.
Yes.
Okay.
When you follow your eye, then the rest of you will catch up. And then you will be vibrating equally once again in another density.
Okay. That's exciting. Now, I also get, ever since I was a teenager, I've also had aches at times around the eyes. I don't know if it's in the muscles of the eyes or if it's my sinuses or something, but it's not really a headache that we think about as a headache. It's like an ache around the eyes.
It is sinus connected to some degree. In this way, it will simply be once again symbolic of the changes and the shifting in pressures within the bodily system as regard to the energy flow that you have created for yourself with regard to who you think you are and the connections you have made to other consciousness on other levels. Many times you will find that it will be, I'll say, symbolically natural and not unusual in your society at this time for those that have very strong relations within their consciousness to the idea of other consciousness outside their own planetary system to create the symbol of having breathed alien air and being used to alien pressures, alien energies. Many times, this will simply manifest in your society as conditions of pressure within the sinus area, as it will reflect the idea of the shifting of pressure in your body to that extent. Follow me?
Yes, that's the same as the earache that I've had in my left ear on.
It is connected, yes.
Okay, now is there anything I can do to alleviate, to make myself more comfortable with these aches that I have, and also with that my right eye being blurry? Is there anything that I can do physically to
Our perception is that temperature would be of assistance, warmth of temperature. the idea of allowing the entire area, here, here, and here, to experience warmth, not too hot, but warmth, all at the same time, to even out the pressure systems.
Okay, rinsing. I started rinsing my right eye with clear sparkless water, and is that a good idea? It feels a lot better. Should I warm
It is
that?
up to you. You don't have to warm that, but simply you may immerse one of your cloths in the warm water and apply to the entire area equally. At the same time, take not cold but a cool cloth and apply it to the back of your neck.
Okay. All right.
This may last about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You said cool in the back, right?
Cool
Okay.
in the back.
Right.
Yes.
A couple questions, short questions. To what degree, in terms of clarity of perceiving events, is your spiritual vision open?
Understand, first of all, that there is no such thing as predicting the future.
No, I'm not talking about predicting the future. I'm talking about seeing
now.
Yeah. And like in past things, you've said to people that there have been things connected from their past that you've seen which are causes or link-ups with present circumstances. And I'd like to know to what degree of accuracy is that open within you?
To no degree of accuracy whatsoever. 100% validity, yes.
Okay, all right. So then, if your knowledge of the past is 100% valid, then that tells me that it's 100% what occurred. In other words,
one moment. Accuracy and validity are two separate things.
All right. So then, if you then are linking up a past situation with the
one moment, do you understand the difference?
No, then I don't.
Thank you. Recognize this. You are creating the past and the future from the present. What any individual co-creates with me, what I co-create with any individual, is valid for that individual in the co-creation for whatever reasons they have co-created that. The idea of accuracy in terms of representing something that physiologically happened in your historical concept is not always necessarily present. To allow there to be reality to the experience that is being co-created.
Okay, so let me see if I can get my question here put back together again.
From time to time, we will be able, when discussing such an idea with you, to point out whether or not we perceive that it happened physiologically or not.
What entails then being able to perceive it physiologically?
The purpose for the co-creation. And if the idea of making a physiological connection in terms of the accuracy you request is either, in the overall sense, interferive or does not really exactly pertain to the reason for why the whole concept has been created, then it will not funnel through us.
Okay, so is that by individual choice, or does that just sort of occur? Or in other words, can you do it by choice if you wish?
Allow me to explain in this way. We have chosen for ourselves to interact with you in a whole concept that we feel represents the validity of the experience you are requesting.
Okay, so that's just subjective then?
In a sense, yes, everything is. Everything is. There is no such thing really as objectivity. Recognize, therefore, that it is not so much that we specifically screen any information at any particular moment, but that we have already created the idea that if it will not be of service, it will automatically be screened and kept from our own knowingness in the interaction, even though maybe we will know about it later.
Okay, all right. So then my next question then would be, this is maybe blasphemous, but I decided today that I'm going to not really care about
very good.
Other people maybe being upset or whatever, but I decided to test you.
Test me. All right.
Get nervous
Only,
now.
only because I decided that if something is true, then I should be able to investigate and doubt. In order to
Well,
find.
all right. That is up to you. But what is truth?
Well, truth is something which I guess you could define it in many, many ways. But
Yes.
for number one, truth is something that the energy of spirit is manifested within it, and there's nothing covering it.
All right.
It's a bit purer than something that has covering, some kind of covering on it. So
We understand your terminology.
the reason that I would ask this, or even be in this frame of mind, is because I think to myself, well, I've been coming here a couple of times and been asking questions, and sometimes personal questions, deep questions within myself, and I would like to understand more the source that reflects back these questions that I put my faith in through the medium of you. So therefore, I'd like to test you.
All right, but understand therefore that you are then testing yourself.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
All right.
But you're on the hot plate too now.
Feels very cool to me. Recognize, I have already said that neither am I in the desire to, nor can I ever prove anything to anyone.
Okay.
This is not my function.
Yes, no, I understand that.
All right.
And my desire for questioning is not at all to lessen any of the value that's occurring here at all. It's just what it is. Man.
Do whatever you wish.
Okay. What did I do today? I mean, what did I do today?
Now understand this. I, at this moment, do not know. Recognize the idea of what you are asking in this way, first of all, before we get back to that question. Many times in your society, when you perceive the idea now, when you begin to examine the ideas that you call telepathy, extrasensory perception, and all of these psychic manifestations of spirituality, of astralness, and all the different labels that you give to this experience that you sense exists in your society, you are still many times creating your viewpoint of this phenomena, if you wish to call it that, from the methodology that you have used all along to define your reality. Now, you may call this, if you will, at this time, what you usually refer to as scientific methodology. The creation of a series of questions or tests to create what you feel to be a certain proof. But recognize, first of all, that science, even though it has set itself up to be so, is in no way, shape, or form the final arbiter on what is real and what is not. First of all, understand that. Even though science in and of itself says that it is. All right, I'm not finished. Now recognize, therefore, that when it goes about seeking to understand things it does not, it will usually still apply the methodology it is used to using to every new thing it encounters. Now, this is the transformational life. You are beginning to bridge the idea of physicality and non-physicality. And in many ways, even though some of your modern physics has begun to understand the necessity of rearranging its equations to include some aspects of non-physicality, what it has yet to understand is that the physical science will not be able to come up with a methodology to define non-physical science. And in this way, you will still find, therefore, that from time to time, when science seeks to explore, to experiment, to test, to prove something, when it is still putting its own habitual scientific methodology upon that idea, it will then create what it thinks is an accurate definition of how science thinks this new idea should work. And when it goes about testing it, will apply the parameters that it thinks represents the way in which such a subject should be tested to get the results you think you want. But recognize this, there is much you do not understand about why things like telepathy and psychic functioning work. Many times, in scientific point of view, something is valid or not valid depending upon how many times it can be repeated under controlled conditions. Now recognize that the very essence of that type of experimentation is canceling to the very essence of the function of psychic ability.
May I say something there on that?
Yes, if you will let me continue.
Yeah, sure. But I just you put so many ideas out, and I just want to be able to feed back and
All right.
understand. One thing that you said about the subjective. Now, since objectivity then is really another or a secondary phase to subjectivity,
yes.
It's an extension of subjectivity.
Yes.
Then, if you're in tune with subjectivity, which is primary,
yes.
and more on the intuitive, then knowing the objective must be right there too.
Very good. But understand in this way that knowing you are subjective means you know that you get the result that you designed the experiment for. Mm-hmm. Therefore, with regard to how your science usually now understands the non-physicalized origin of psychic ability or telepathy, the way it designs the experiments to test these things have nothing to do with the understanding of why those things work. And basically, what we are saying is this. When you realize that psychic manifestation and telepathy and all of these ideas is not strictly, in your terminology, a mental phenomena, but an emotional phenomena and a belief system phenomena, then you will understand that the circumstances in which you can then, so to speak, prove the existence of psychic phenomena are not the standard laboratory conditions of sterility. They are circumstances that are emotional, interactive, congruent with life itself. It is an active science, the science of mind, the science of understanding bonds of consciousness. It is an active science. What standard classical science on your planet seeks to do is stop a process so they can pick it apart to understand it. But stopping the process completely erases any evidence that they wish to find. Therefore, recognize that because it is an emotional bond, an active bond, a feeling bond, a living bond, usually when there is occurrences of psychic knowingness, of telepathy, of ESP, as you say, they will occur when there is a great need, desire, excitement, emotion to know these things. They can occur from time to time, as you say, spontaneously, just by saying, well, how much change have I got in my pocket? Well, 37 cents. Well, yes, you're right. But understand that those in your terms, at this point in your society, are the exceptions, and usually not repeatable. But science cannot understand why they are not repeatable. It is not repeatable because who cares how much change you have in your pocket when you can reach in and find out for yourself in a practical, everyday method. The idea of what you did today is not something that you are radiating in such a way that comes across to me as something that allows us to be in love with each other about the sharing.
Well, what would occur, though, you see, if you were to know exactly what I did today, it would, put it this way, it would put me at that point above just a, in religion and all the religions that I've come across, usually there is a source, a knowledge source, or a point of emanation of information. And to a great degree, most of the people that follow, they don't inspect the information, because it becomes like a whirlwind of, hey, let's get into this, I believe it feels great. It's more fun to believe than to question.
All right.
Because when you question, you have to find out about it, and sometimes it doesn't
All
match
right.
up with what you know. So if you were to know what I did today, what it would do for me is it would put me in tune with you on a, okay,
all right.
ground.
We understand what you are saying, but understand, again, it is not our purpose to put you anywhere. Now recognize also that what you are defining as these individuals with regard to their religions and following such an idea without questioning, the idea of following in that way is not knowing.
Right.
Therefore, the analogy in that way does not hold. The recognition is that if they were not following but knowing, then they would simply know they do not need to follow and would also know that they do not need to create question. They would simply understand. Now, again, the idea is backwards. Allowing yourself to be already on this idea of equal sharing will allow for the manifestation of the type of telepathy that I experience in my own society all the time. Not the other way around. Not making it, well, if this happens, then I will go for this. Because you say, what you are saying is that I want to believe in this, and so if this happens, then I will believe in this. But you are asking me, therefore, to do something that will, in a sense, affect your choice of belief.
Well, it's not even that I'm asking.
Now, one moment. Therefore, this is what I offer you in exchange for what you want from me. I cannot and will not prove anything to you in this way. However, I will assist you to prove that such a thing exists for yourself.
Well, I know it.
Then what is the point?
I'm talking to you.
So what?
Only because you're a source of information and questioning for myself. And so
You are the source. I am a reflection. Understand that that is the only function that I provide. Not a source of information, a reflection of you as the source. Period. What you hear from me is reflective of what you are willing to be. Now, for example, there have been opportunities many times, in your terminology, for me to know what someone did during the course of a day. But that is not because they need to know in the terms you are asking, but simply because they recognize themselves as the source. They are simply involved emotionally in the conversation, and because they are so open with that idea and not shutting themselves off pro-offering a test, which means you are hiding things, then it is simply there to be picked up upon emotionally. And many times we can read that emotionality when no one is thinking that they must test for that emotionality is only when it can be read. Therefore, when you least expect it is when it will work the best. Therefore, our suggestion is that if we simply continue to interact, there will be more opportunities for us to simply pick up on the creation of what you are and reflect that back to you if it is pertinent to what it is you are exploring about yourself.
Okay. That's cool.
Thank you.
Can I pick up on that further?
Yes.
Is what's happening here, is he looking for having faith in his belief?
Ask him.
Is that what you're looking for? Okay, I'm trying to understand what you were talking about before about faith and belief, and you're making a differentiation between them.
All right. Belief is simply one of the facets of the personality structure, of which the other two are emotionality and thought. Faith is the activation through the personality of the knowingness of the higher consciousness. You follow me?
Yes. Now, we discussed belief as being composed of two aspects. That is, two pretends. One were the first pretend and pretending that I'm not pretending it. And that is the way of creating a belief.
You can change a belief Yes, that way.
Well, is there some other way of understanding belief other than that?
Belief, self, is a reflection, many times, of the combined personality construct's idea of itself through the ego. And therefore will reflect what you think and feel and believe. The method should be for you as a person to explore the situations that your higher consciousness has given you to explore. You follow me?
I can't say that I do.
All right. Simply, belief is what will allow your personality to create something to sense through the senses it has created. It is what creates the reflection of how you consider your person and what you consider your person to be. Follow that.
As for example, I'm here in this room, I'm looking out through these eyes, I'm seeing you, I'm seeing other things. Is that an example of belief?
Yes.
And
yes. The way you are seeing them defines the type of belief.
Now, how would faith fit into this?
Faith is simply the knowingness that this is all a part of you.
Totality.
Yes. Faith is the mechanism of allowing you to tap and be congruent with the higher consciousness's awareness that this is you. Your belief allows you to experience it as not you. Your entire personality, emotion and thought and belief co-creates the reality that this is not you. Faith knows this is you.
Very good. Thank you.
On that,
Thank you.
Bashar,
Yes.
A belief need not necessarily be intellectualized. I mean, we have a lot of beliefs that we've never even considered were beliefs. We just kind of
Yes.
walk around in our reality with
Yes.
our beliefs. Yeah. It seems to me that if we were to intellectualize a belief, we'd have to realize that the belief does not contain a consideration that it is not so. And I think, doesn't faith also, if you were to intellectualize the idea of faith, the consideration that it is not so or that it can't happen or something like that.
In another
exist.
sense, yes.
Yeah, just absent.
Yes.
Okay.
This is why we say that you will find that in your terminology of so-called hierarchy, it is knowingness and then belief and then emotion and then thought. For belief will retain to some degree some of the aspects of knowingness in physical terms. And that will be one of them. The idea that it does not consider itself to not be.
Okay. Would faith then be kind of a component of knowingness, or would you say it is knowingness?
Faith, as you define it in your physical reality, is the realization of knowingness.
Okay. There are some things that I have total certainty that I know,
Yes.
and other things that I just kind of accept on faith that I know it's going to happen, although I don't know what the circumstances will be.
All right.
You know, there's kind of
Basically, yes, same thing.
Yeah.
But when you say, well, I know and I accept on faith, it is not so much that it is dissimilar, but you are still making somewhat of a recognition of the mechanism of the knowingness channeling through into physical reality, which is a separation from the knowingness.
Right. It definitely acknowledges the higher.
Yes, you are simply feeling the flow
Right.
of the knowingness, watching the mechanism work,
Right. Right.
aware of the mechanism itself.
Got it.
Thank you.
Now that I still have your attention, I'm interested in understanding what the 11 dimensions that our physical reality is made up of. Do I understand correctly that we have our 3 XYZ dimensions? Are there 3 additional spatial dimensions that are kind of curled up six-dimensional spatial dimension?
In a sense, yes, the idea of the multiverse can be looked at as what you call enfolded.
Okay, this comes out of superstring theory.
Yes.
Okay. Then what are the remaining two dimensions, plus and minus time?
Time will be there. Now understand the idea that we have defined as what we call the template structure.
I do understand that.
All right, in this way, the 6 phases and the 5 points, adding up to the idea of 11, will simply, yes, point to the idea to some degree of different directions. But when you get beyond the idea of physical space and physical time, then in and of itself, the direction in which things actually are contained is not even so much a direction as it is, let us say, a bias, if you will.
All right. That time plus and minus would still be one dimension.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then that covers 10 dimensions. What's the 11th?
It is the totality of the concept in a synergistic fashion before it goes on to the next level.
Have our scientists come upon this thought in their own...
Some, yes.
You know? So I'm wondering if they are aware that we are living in an 11-dimension reality. I have not found anybody to define all 11 dimensions, but I've seen within superstring theory the 3 spatial dimensions, the 6 curled-in spatial dimensions, the single dimension of time, and then nobody's mentioned what the 11th dimension is.
All right, now to some degree, again, I will say this will be difficult in the terminology available to me through the physical channel. But if you wish to give it a definition in those terms, allow me to define it in this way. It is the recognition, paradoxical though this will sound, of the structure that exists within a point.
Okay. All right. Kind of almost in inverse spatiality.
Sort of, kind of.
Kind of, like I said.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now, one moment. Understand that very recently there has been a new awareness, a new understanding that will allow for what you have been calling the idea of understanding all of these dimensions and the forces, so to speak, within it as a unified field, as a unified oneness, as a homogeneous whole. You have just learned of the idea that gravity in and of itself has another type of structure to it that allows it to be, in your terms, coming and going simultaneously, rather than unidirectional as you have for so long considered it to be. This, in and of itself, is now being separated out as another force, but will very shortly be reintegrated when there is the understanding of what gravity represents. It is not like, in its manifested sense, the other things that you recognize as fundamental forces. This new clue, which is being called hypercharge in your society, will allow them to understand the simultaneous nature and more awareness of what they have for some time called quantum interconnectedness, but not have been able to make sense of in what you call mathematical or practical terms. This will allow them to see how such a thing is possible simultaneously, and it will lead them to rewrite the structure of the mathematics, inventing a new mathematical relationship that will then include more of the idea of consciousness.
Are you saying that when they blend the ideas of gravity and hypercharge, that will be, in a sense, factoring in the idea of consciousness?
It will be the first step toward realizing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bashar?
I'm Bashar. All right.
Okay. Hi, I'm so glad to see you again, Bashar. Not see you, I'm so glad to be here with you. I have a couple questions. I'd like to tell you a couple of images I had in several different dreams, but all in one night, and see if you can work with me on this, possibly. I woke up in the dream. I was on a cruise. I was on a ship and with a crew of people. Seemed to be the same people I was in the movie crew with that I'm working on now.
May I interrupt you?
Yes.
Are you going to go through these descriptions already knowing what all of this means for
I
you?
don't know what they mean.
We will see. We have done this before, you and I. You will go through your entire illumination, and then when we discuss it with you, you will say, well, yes, I knew that.
Well, of course I know it, but I like to have you reflect it back sometimes.
You know it consciously.
I don't know it consciously. But
All right, we will see.
Okay, I mean, I know bits and pieces, but it's not integrated.
Oh, here it comes, bits and pieces.
I know, I love you, even though you catch my expression sometimes.
That we find to be impossible.
I know. Something we do on Earth sometimes is bitchy. Okay. I was on the cruise. Like that.
Yes.
I was in the crew. We were going someplace. It was very, very, very cold. The coldest place in the entire universe. And okay. And twice in that night, twice in that dream, I woke up crying. I mean, physically crying in my bed, and I woke up crying. One, I was having a conversation with the being that I know you know I'm talking about, the woman being that I've been working with. And the other time was on the crew, and I wasn't sure why I was crying. In the same dream, and this all sounds crazy, they were feeding us lobsters. And for some reason I thought the lobster had something to do with the Piscean age. And then later in the sequence of the dream...
Why?
Now, see, I don't know what any of that means.
Oh, hogwash. Why not allow them to be literal?
Somebody's going to feed me lobsters? What? I don't know.
Symbolically literal. As you have already defined and described the feelings that those symbols gave to you. The idea for yourself, first of all, that you know that you are involved in a process with many individuals. That you know in your mentality it represents a journey to somewhere you think you need to get to. The idea that you will be fed from the bounty of your own abundance along the trip. And the idea that it is not a gamble to do so.
Well, if I knew that, you certainly put it in nice terms. The place seems like we've been there before.
One moment. Understand that you have had the ability to know all of this in exactly the way I have defined it. But there is one thing you are creating for yourself. The idea of the coldness is symbolic of what you call superconductivity. The idea that the force can flow faster when the molecular structure of something is put into a crystalline matrix. This, however, does not need to exemplify itself outwardly in terms of being hyperactive.
Right.
If you would but relax, which is the idea of centering, which is what the crying was for.
That was the crying?
Yes.
Was it center?
Yes. You were centering from what you perceive to be a negative experience. And it is only your symbol that you are, in the overall understanding of the trip you are on, still attempting to get out and help push the boat. Now, if you would allow yourself, in your terms, to slow down a bit.
I feel like I'm so slow already.
I know you feel that way. But if you would but listen to yourself, you discharge so much information so rapidly that many times it is not an allowance for the individuals you are discharging to assimilate at their own rate. If you are a part of the cruise, then understand that you are all going to get there on the same boat at the same time.
I keep thinking I'm going to be left out, though.
No. Understand simply that you can enjoy the abundance that you can partake of on the cruise. You are not gambling.
Oh, hold on.
And in this way, simply recognize that everyone is on the same boat. They will not disappear. Therefore, enjoy the programs that are offered to you on the cruise. Take some time off, yes. You are on vacation with these people. They do not want to be reminded of all the work. Follow me? They do not want to think about paperwork. They do not want to know all the little details. They do not want to be bombarded with information. That is why they left on this cruise. Therefore, if you are on this cruise with them, join them by simply moving at the same rate that the entire ship is moving. You do not have to get out and push. You do not have to jump into a rowboat with a line and begin to row faster to pull the boat along. It is still going to move at its own pace. On the current, it has squarely placed itself in the middle of that sea of consciousness, left its port at exactly the right time with everyone on board, and will arrive at its next port at exactly the right time, everyone on board. All right.
When I saw the streak of light in the sky, and I thought it was a falling star, and then I determined it was never finished. Believing it was a moth and it was a craft.
Now, was not a craft,
It was a symbol,
but it was a symbol. Do you know in your society what the moth symbolizes?
No.
Knowledge. But in this way also,
But it wasn't a moth.
one moment, it was an energy idea, all right? Now understand, there is polarity to this symbol as well, and the idea is that it does represent knowledge, and as long as it takes advantage of the natural flow of the air currents, it will stay aloft. When you become focused and fixated on needing to express that knowledge too quickly, is when that idea spirals down into the flame and is consumed.
Does that have anything to do with the spiral that I ended up seeing in my meditation?
To some degree, although simply you will know that is the definition of the centering of yourself. Yes. Now, simply recognize, in this way there is no need to consume yourself just because you are an idea, and recognize that you are. In every way that you express yourself, relax. If for some reason you do not get to say everything you wish to say, as you have slowed down, then understand that everything you did get to say is exactly what needed to be said. You do not have to compact the information so tightly.
Well, the information seems to come at such a fast speed sometimes. I
All
can't
right.
keep up with it.
But
And
you can.
Then I get pieces of it, like I have pages of
You get
pieces.
all of it. You get all of it. Only the idea of your franticness to want to share with everyone so quickly is what makes you feel like it comes so frantically. When you choose to relax, it will come at a relaxed pace. Or, if you perceive that the actual momentum does not change, you will be able to assimilate it in a relaxed manner.
It just comes down to faith.
Yes.
It really does.
Faith is all there is.
I know, it's so funny. It's like when I don't have the faith, it's when I start talking so fast, I think it doesn't make sense, because it does make perfect sense, but the inner journey, do you understand what it's like here? You have the outer journey, but it's really not the outer journey, but to have the outside world.
To some degree, yes. Do not forget, I have had a wife there. Believe me, in that sense, and when I make that connection to that portion of my consciousness, I understand. Therefore, that is why I can, with all faith and conviction, let you know that you can be easier with yourself. I have learned that this is so. Thank you.
Bashar. Hi. I want to talk.
Hi!
I want to talk with you about cigarettes.
All right. Are you offering me one?
No.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I've been smoking for many, many years, and I come to a point to realize that I don't really want to quit smoking.
All right.
I want to feel in control. In other words, I want to be able to, like, maybe one day forget about it. Just like coffee, I take coffee maybe once a week, or maybe.
Then, how about one day you forget about it?
Well, that's what I want to talk with you about.
All right. You can't forget.
No, it's really. I was hearing people talking about that. It was really addictive. The United States, it's really an addiction, a drug that you're addicted to.
We understand the physiological idea, but again, to us, everything physiological is the result of an idea of consciousness.
Right. And I feel like it's at the tip of my tongue, but I pointed you on it so I can get kind of faster because of that.
All right. Now, you too can also relax with yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Recognize that when you no longer contain the idea, then you will simply not feel like smoking. You don't have to force yourself to quit.
I don't want to quit.
All right.
But I love smoking.
All right. Then you do not have to worry yourself about whether you quit or not. Recognize that if you know you are of the belief system that simply contains that idea without detriment to you, then it will be no detriment. And once you allow to accept yourself in all that you are, then you may find, maybe, that you will in fact lose the urge. Once it is not important to you whether or not to make the decision, you may actually lose the urge as you accelerate beyond that idea. Now, if you do not, so what?
Right.
But it is the worrying about making the decision that is what will do you the detriment.
Yeah, but I stopped for a while trying to make a decision about it. All I want is smoke one once in a while.
Then do what you want. Now understand, in your terms physiologically, if you wish to discuss this, the idea of the physiological addiction, the majority of the addiction in an overall sense, so to speak, is the sugar. Yes.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
Your tobacco is cured in sugar, and that is the most addictive thing in it.
And the paper got sugar in it.
Really?
Yes.
I eat it instead.
Well, I really eat a lot of sugar. I really love sugar.
That is why you also love smoking.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Yeah.
Now, simply once again, recognize that if you do not put so many demands upon yourself, you will allow yourself, if that is a part of your purpose, to evolve out of even wanting the idea. Therefore, you will simply lose the urge. You do not have to force yourself to continue or force yourself to quit. It will not even be a matter of making the decision.
Great. I like that.
Oh, all right.
You mean nicotine is not addictive?
Yes.
But that's the main thing in cigarettes, isn't it?
Sugar.
Not nicotine.
Our scientists have determined nicotine as addictive. Are they?
Yes, it is. No. Simply what we are saying is there is a higher percentage of sugar addiction.
Yeah, because sometimes when people stop smoking, they eat a lot of sugar.
Yes. That is the most addicting thing about the habit. Not that the idea of nicotine is not, nor that it is not a great deal of the addiction.
Bashar?
Yes.
I've had asthma. I'm 28, and I'm.
Those two things have something in common.
My doctor told me that the asthma, for some people, leaves after a 15-year period, and for a certain time period within a person's life, if they have asthma, that there's a phase that it gets most intense, and then it just leaves. Lately, I've been having asthma, and it becomes a choice between me wanting to be with people or be in any type of environment, because if a person's smoking or if a person, I can't be with them, so that I can get some fresh air. Or I just acquired a cat because I love animals, and I've been living with this cat for a week now, and my asthma is changing. And
very good.
I'm very happy. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I'm excited. It's surprising me.
Does the atmosphere round and about you feel a little bit different?
Yes.
Does it feel different in terms of temperature or electrical component? Does it feel more electrified, more invigorating?
I've kept it colder in the house.
Yes, all right. You are, then, yourself, in your auric field, charging the air. And you are acting as your own filter, creating the reality of the atmosphere you wish to breathe, so that it filters out what you do not. You are oxygenating the air and ionizing it with your auric field.
What is that?
You will find, as we said before, that the idea of aligning these electrostatic balances will cause this energy field to become a little bit more of a crystalline matrix, and that allows for superconductivity. The idea is that a reduction in temperature creates the crystalline matrix, which allows for the more easily manifested flow of the electromagnetic fluid in which you exist to create the type of reality you want to be. The creation of this magnetic field and electromagnetic field becomes superconducting when the temperature is lower. Thus, you will find many times that this is why the idea sometimes of what you call psychic phenomena in that way will cause there to be vast temperature differences in the bodily structure, many times, particularly in the hands. When there is the idea of the outlay, there will be a reversal of the energy, and you will find the heating to occur, the sharing of the energy.
Is there also something I could loosen it? It comes.
Why do you assume that you will not continue to do so?
Well, lately it's been more intense than usual, and I found that any place I go, I can't breathe. And
what are you doing now?
I am breathing now. There are times when I am relaxed and able to breathe, and there have been times when
Yay.
I'm spacing out again.
Good. Perhaps you will be able to breathe that. Keep that space with you. Keep that space with you.
Is there something I need to know about my mother and myself? Because I've heard that the asthma condition is connected to mother's love, which is a type of mother love that is smothering.
Why not talk to not the physiological mother, but the mother within you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a dialogue with your own motherhood. And find out if you think you are a smothering mother.
Yes, I have found that I've been a smothering mother, and I've been starting to enter into a softness.
All right. Then you will be breathing easier about yourself, which will be reflected in your reality. Physically.
Okay.
Be easy about yourself. Lighten up on yourself.
Okay.
Love yourself unconditionally. All right?
Yes.
Thank you!
I'm ready.
All right, then you.
Do you have something like summer where you live, like where it gets hot during the year?
Something like it, yes.
Do you,
We have seasons, yes.
Oh.
But not so extreme as you.
Even California? California's not extreme. Even less extreme in California?
Less extreme.
Oh.
Well, in the summer, do you run around naked?
There are, from time to time, in any season, individuals who may not be partaking of the idea of clothing.
Okay, and how come the men don't have clothes but the women do? Like, does it serve a purpose for them but not for the men?
Thank you. This is a remnant of an idea in our own past history that had to do with the exemplification of the polarity of maleness and femaleness, and in this way was a representation of the mentality of our own civilization, and the idea, similar to what you have in your own civilization, of the idea that the removal of the covering from the head would allow there to be a more symbolic manifestation of the idea of outward mentality. So for us, it is a physiological symbol in our society that is a remnant of an idea we had of ourselves and continues to some extent in this way, mostly simply because we have no need for the hair back.
Right. Well, do the men have like eyebrows or beard or something like that, or hair on their
You will find that there will be no beard. There will be very faint idea of eyebrow, very faint. Almost, in your terms, invisible against the whiteness of our skin.
Are you wearing a silver outfit?
It is bluish silver.
Okay. Does everybody wear the same color?
No. It is up to them.
Is that your favorite color?
It is one that is my favorite when I'm in the mood for it to be my favorite.
Quick question.
One moment. All right.
When, about your appearance and so on, I've been very curious about why it would be such a shock for us to see you physically.
Understand, it is not the physicality that is the shock. As we have explained, the idea is that our auric field is a reflection of the integrated being that we are.
And we couldn't take it?
In a sense. Because understand in this way that what happens is, as our acceleration to you is faster, more integrated, if your auric field comes into contact with it, you are swept up in the greater acceleration and forced to look at the integrated awareness of yourself.
So how is it that we wouldn't be able to take that?
Because individuals, when they create such a fear of looking at all the different portions of themselves, may find them in shock about what they see, about what they are forced to face of their own being that they are not yet ready to look at.
Because I feel that I could.
So, many of you can. But understand again, it is a matter of timing that is of the greatest service to all concerned. One moment. You have some other questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, Ken Gullickson wants to know. No, Ken and I were talking the other day, and we decided on a question. Mary decided, but Ken said, go ahead, ask. What I want to know, but Ken would not mind hearing also, is do the women, like, have a period every month?
No.
Do they ever have one?
No. It has nothing to do with the idea you call luck.
No.
Now recognize simply that we do not need that symbol in the way you manifest it. And there has already been change upon your own planet, and you yourselves know it is not in your own terms for everyone what you call a regular thing.
Yeah.
Not for the male, that's for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Not even for the female. Recognize there are individuals that have, perhaps in your terms, maybe 4 times a year.
Oh.
Maybe once, maybe not at all. For many, many, many months, maybe years, then maybe again.
Oh.
Understand it is a product completely of the mentality of many things that are incorporated into the idea of what the female consciousness is viewing itself as becoming in your society.
Can you talk a little bit about why we would need it to be every month and what our purpose is in choosing that?
Or why they have it at all.
All right. First, the idea of why at all, it is a reflection of the great deal of separation that has occurred between the male-female energies in this way. It is a tearing asunder, and the idea that to bring into the reality any idea that will accelerate towards the blending comes from the idea of the separation, the pain, the sorrow, the tearing asunder, in order to be born in this way. It is a reflection symbolically of that sense of separation of the male-female nest. It is in a way, if you will permit me to be a little bit poetic in that sense, it is in a way more the idea that you call the bleeding of the heart for what is experienced to be a loss. The idea of the loss in the womb of the completeness of the beings that they are giving birth to. You follow me? Now, this is changing, however. Now, the idea of the regularity of once a month is connected to the idea of your lunar cycle. For in this way, you will find that the lunar vibration is what reflects the feminine principle of energy in your society. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Do you follow me?
I didn't.
The idea of the lunar vibration, the polarization of light that occurs in reflecting itself off the body of the moon in your terms and in many other symbolic senses, reflects the female intuitive inner awareness vibration. The vibration of the night, of the nurturing, of the cloaking.
Now, if we didn't have a moon, would that be so?
Perhaps not. Not in that way. Now understand also, since you have brought it up, our planet does not have a moon.
Oh.
Now, we do give physical birth in what you term to be 7-month gestation.
Is it painful?
No. Does not have to be.
So women carry a baby in them? Or no?
Repeat.
Do women carry babies in them like we do? In
Yes.
themselves? In a womb?
Yes.
So they have a womb?
Yes.
When you come here, can we mix the civilizations? Can we?
Has
give
been done
birth?
before.
Interbreed?
Will we be doing
Yeah.
that?
Wait.
Maybe. It will not necessarily be necessary.
So women have ovaries like we do?
There is some differentiation, but basically the same.
And then when you release the quote-unquote egg, it's done through the conscious will of this, the integration between the consciousnesses of twice.
Oh, yes. Now understand again that in our civilization we are always in communication with the being to be born. Consciously. And, like your civilization, what you recognize as the consciousness of that particular being, in a sense, enters, as you say, the body just prior to physical birth. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. One is that I have an Indian guide who I've not really been in contact with for a few years, and I miss him.
East or west?
I understand him to be an American Indian.
All right.
And I want to know how to open myself up more to relate with him.
All right. What does it feel like to you to be an Indian? Use your imagination. How does it feel to be an Indian?
It feels very strong.
Very strong, very centered, all right. Can you, in your imagination, then allow yourself to act like one?
No problem with him.
Probably.
Most I can.
Oh, thank you! Then you will form the type of identification pattern that will allow you in that state of being to know you are in contact. For in this way you will find that the American Indian culture always knew it lived in more than just the physical reality and had communication with many different levels of consciousness, powerful of course, as you say, all a part of the day-to-day existence of being an American Indian. Follow me.
Yes, I do follow you. So leave myself open then.
Oh, yes. Act more.
Okay. Bashar.
For one moment.
Next question is, when I was a young girl, for about a year, I would walk in my sleep, and I would wake up. I'd have to go through 2 rooms in order to wake up, standing at a window, an open window, crying, and I would be waving goodbye to what appeared to be an 18th century horse-drawn carriage hearse with 2 people dressed in black waving goodbye to me. The horse would be going one way, and the people would be on the back end waving goodbye. And that's something that I've never been able to work out or understand what it was. It happened every day for a year. I'd wake up hysterically crying at this open window.
Well, who do you think was in the coffin?
I never really saw a coffin, but it was that kind of hearse.
Yes.
It was a hearse. Horse-drawn hearse.
Well, come on, take a guess.
Well, it was when I was around 13, so possibly it was me.
Yes.
But I used to wish it was my parents.
All right. But it was you. Now, the idea also is that you are at a very high time in your society of what you call psychic manifestation during that adolescent stage. And are very, very easily connected into all that you have ever been. And it was simply the idea of saying goodbye to another one of yourselves and becoming a new self.
Okay. Because there was a time period that I always believed to have been alive in
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Okay. My last question is, my husband and I have been trying for 4 years to have a child.
Trying?
Yeah, as much as we can.
Why not? Keep practicing.
Getting too intense. That's what I don't
Too
like.
intense. All right.
It's too much pressure. It's
Back
okay.
off then.
Okay, that's very easy to say.
Yes, it
I
is.
mean, it is.
Say it. Back off.
I have tried to back off.
Try to back off.
I am.
That is difficult. Backing off is easy. Trying to back off, that is easy too if you are attempting to be trying to back off.
Allowing myself.
Oh, allowing. Now that is a different story.
Okay.
Now then, if we are talking about allowance, then it works both ways. Allow yourself to know that any agreements you are making with any other individual to be born of you, physically in this way, are the product of perfect timing. Therefore, recognize that when you come to this timing, it will then feel like the right time. No need to rush. Understand you are becoming the type of being that will then be the person who is to be the mother of that individual. You follow me?
Yes, I follow.
Then, by simply allowing yourself to proceed as you are, that is what will accelerate you towards being that person and allow you more quickly to manifest that agreement.
Okay. So I should really just continue with what, I mean, the doctor should have me on fertility, so is that something I should discontinue?
I would suggest that you discontinue it.
Is this something I manifested in
prior in my life? This problem.
This is not a problem. Understand again that you know what you are doing. You are waiting until the time you agreed. Because then you will be the person that you need to be to give birth to that person. Otherwise, you will not understand them. All right, then relax. Yes.
I have several things I want to say.
All right, speak up!
Okay! One is that I really appreciate being here and all the other people who are here, and yourself, of course, because the questions that are asked are questions that I would never even think about, and
very good.
That they're asked, and I think about them, and that's great, and so I'm really happy.
This is why everything that anyone says has to do with everyone that hears it, or they would not hear it.
Okay. The second thing is that I would just like to make another announcement about my performance, and there's information on the table concerning it, and I would appreciate it if anyone would like to participate, that they would give me their telephone number, because I have planned the first meeting.
All right.
Okay. And
Statement of your own boldness, yes?
Yes.
All right.
I forgot the third
All
thing,
right,
but
then you may take over now.
Thank you, Bashar.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't forget.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Bashar, I am involved, as are two other women in the audience tonight, in a group of sisterhood, a group of women who are healers.
Yes.
And we meet from time to time and do universal healing and also individual healing.
Yes.
What I am interested in is we have a sense of ourselves from a past perspective in the moment, and our difficulty is really in the future perspective in the moment. And I want to know if you have anything to say about
Well, what do you imagine your future to be?
Oh, it's incredible.
It's what?
Incredible.
It's what?
It is completely wonderful.
Therefore, credible.
Yes, of course.
All right. Now, you do not seem to have any difficulty with that.
Well, okay, then I really need to say what my real question is.
Oh, thank you.
I come here week after week with wonderful questions formed, and by the time we're all done, they've all been answered. Only I haven't ever said anything.
All right.
And so I feel as if I want to say something. So
Well, then, make a sharing. You do not have to have a question to communicate. The idea is that you are willing to make a statement of conviction. Questions are sharing too. Questions are learning too. But if you are willing to make a statement of conviction, then you are centered and considering yourself to be equal to the entire experience of everyone that is here. So share. What is you as your future? I'll ask the question.
Thank you. I don't know how to answer it.
Do you know how to be it?
I am it.
Then that is the answer. Thank you very much. Perfect answer.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. The question has to do with creativity and sexuality. A channel that I used to see a year ago went off on sexuality for many weeks in a row, and basically, had a dissertation on sexuality and creativity for week after week after week.
Yes.
And they said that they kind of said that it was almost necessary to have sexuality in order to let your creativity flow.
Well, you have created yourself to be a sexual being.
Yeah.
Therefore, simply the idea is that if you attract an opportunity to express yourself that way, there is no need to deny that experience from yourself.
Okay. Well, that's what the question has to do with. Because my creativity has been flowing.
Yes.
And suddenly, a few days ago, I realized that I hadn't had sex for 4 months, and then I decided to do something about it. So I made a date to have sex. It was a complete failure, and it didn't
A complete
happen.
what?
A failure. It didn't happen.
One moment. There is no such thing.
Okay, well...
Look at it from another point of view. How did it serve you? What did it show you?
It made me see that I've really cut myself off from people.
All right, very good. Then it was a complete success. Now that it has served its purpose for that particular scenario, you can use the ease of creation to attract other scenarios. Now that you allow that to serve its purpose. Otherwise, you will only attract the same thing over and over and over again until you recognize what you are trying to show yourself. Now that you know what you are trying to show yourself, then let that be all right. Do not judge yourself. And then you will be the complete person that will attract the relationship that will complete itself. You follow me?
Kind of.
All right, now, come on, keep it simple. It is very simple. You just said, it showed me I have cut myself off from people. All right, now you have the idea. It is now you. So you are now integrated with that idea, as that idea. Now, if you can allow that to be an all right reason for the scenario to have gone the way it did, then you will be saying that that portion of yourself and the creative way you showed yourself that idea was valid for you. And now that you know yourself to be a more complete individual in terms of your awareness of the overall completeness that you are, you can now use what you have now incorporated in yourself to attract another situation that will not have to play out the same way. For simply you gave yourself an opportunity to reflect something that you had done. Now if you accept that, then you will transform into something else.
So I don't necessarily need to put out, or do I? I mean, I feel like for years I've been wanting a relationship, a really loving relationship.
All right. But again, understand that the idea of relationships is not to need them to feel complete.
Right.
Therefore, simply, this is an opportunity for you to know that you are complete enough to create the kind of scenario that would show you what you are creating. You are functioning perfectly because you are giving yourself messages about the type of reality you are creating. And if you have been cutting yourself off, then that is the reflection you got. All right, it is over and done. Now incorporate that symbol within you, knowing that you are still working perfectly because you were able to create the scenario to reflect what you were doing so that you can be more aware of yourself as a complete being and therefore attract the idea of a complete relationship. Now that you have decided to, I'll say, get back in circulation.
Okay, but am I going against myself by making affirmations to the effect that I do want a loving relationship, or
No.
is that helpful?
It is simply a recognition that you are yourself a loving relationship. If you know you are a loving relationship, it is not so much that you need an affirmation. You can simply know that that is what you are, and therefore that is what you will attract. Exactly in the way you need to.
Okay, well,
Now, let me ask you this. Would you want to not be complete before you attract someone that you think you may like to spend some time with?
okay, say that again. Would I not?
Would you not like to be complete
No,
before?
you're right. I would like
All
to.
right then. Allow the way you have allowed yourself to recognize all of the ideas you have been separating to serve the purpose of putting you together so that you can get what it is you have wanted.
Well, then, but if I feel complete, then I have no need for someone else.
Correct. And that is why you will attract them, because then you will be sharing,
Right.
not
Okay.
needing.
Okay.
Thank you! Now, you may all take a short break. All right, I'll say, shall we?
Yes,
I knew I could do
yes
that.
first.
Thank you, Bashar. You mentioned superconductivity within the concept of a crystalline structure.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if quartz crystal also exhibits manifestations of superconductivity.
Of the type of energy that it transmits, yes.
Yes. Is this an energy type which our scientists are aware of?
Some aspects of it.
Are they aware of the superconductivity of it?
In a sense, yes, because they understand that by definition, a crystalline form is in and of itself a type of superconductivity. The superconductive arrangement of the material.
Right. Are they utilizing that facility?
Some, yes.
You mean some scientists are, or they are to some extent using it?
Both.
Is it to a small degree compared to what we can be using?
Oh, yes. Maybe. Somewhere around 2 to 5%.
Are they aware that the potential is far beyond what they're utilizing now?
Yes. But they do not know exactly in what ways it will manifest yet.
Would you be willing to suggest a way that
one will be the replication of something that existed so very long ago in Atlantean times, the idea of taking crystalline, I will say, rod, if you will, and wrapping round it copper wire many times and introducing electrified current through that idea. Then experimenting with the different types of caps or end stones and different cuts of facets on either end, and seeing what type of electromagnetic fields are generated from that. Now recognize that it is this configuration that served as different types of power generators in Atlantean times that gave rise symbolically to what you have created to be a symbol of power through the ages that you call your scepter.
What kind of instrumentation would be required to detect the fields that you're referring to?
One's sensitive to electromagnetic fluctuation, some sensitive to slight, I'll say, static electricity charges, to some degree temperature variation, depending upon the strength of the original field, instruments that can detect what you call ionization. We perceive, though in your terms this may or may not be accurate, that you do not yet have the degree of sensitivity in certain instruments to detect the gravitational fluctuations that are also there. Certain animals that, in your terms, navigate by the use of the electromagnetic field also would be seen to exhibit certain types of orientation sensitivity to this field because of the magnetite in that way which you also possess in your in this cavity. Sometimes, again, depending upon the juxtaposition of the fields and the reinforcement of certain wave fronts, there may be the chance to get auditory manifestations from this as well. Therefore, have both infrasonic and ultrasonic detectors.
What is infrasonic?
Below your normal range of hearing.
Okay. What frequency of electromagnetic radiation would this manifest?
Different ones. This is why we are suggesting so many different ideas. For you will find that it will depend upon the way the energy is fed, the length, the diameter, the clarity of the material, the type of end stones, and so forth.
We're talking about very, very short wavelengths or long wavelengths?
Can be both.
Okay.
Depends upon the amount of wrappings, the strength of the original electrical field, and so forth. The proximity of the wrappings to the crystal, and so forth. The closer to the crystal, the higher the frequency. The farther away, the lower.
So there's no natural range of frequencies that it would exhibit. It would just be anywhere within the entire range of electromagnetic radiation, depending on configuration.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Sure.
You.
Oh, good. I want to share, and I have a couple questions.
Then you!
I want to share a dream I had a few nights ago where I was in someone's house, and then I noticed another little area that seemed to be being built onto this house, and I asked about it, and so this person brought me down to the area, and he said, well, this is an apartment that I'm building onto my house, and when we went down there, I noticed it was like right on the water. It was really pretty, and I thought it was a tiny little space, and I thought, oh, how cute, you know. But then as I was walking through this apartment, it was endless for a while. It had a lot of rooms, a lot of bedrooms and bathrooms.
The essence of fourth dimensionality. The idea that the inside can be bigger than the outside.
Well, that's when I woke up, I felt like, to me, it's symbolic of myself, like all the different compartments of myself that I had.
But also the unlimited expansiveness that you contain.
Right.
Now understand that there is, and you will discover this in times in your future, there is also a way, literally, to create this type of physiological technology, wherein you can have what seems to be an exterior of limited proportions and an interior of vaster ones.
Very interesting. And it was on the water. I thought that was interesting, too. Now, let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, we're talking about periods. I've had my period now for like the last 2 weeks. It's getting to be too much of a habit now. I just find it interesting that I would have my period for that long.
All right. When you are complete with the idea of shedding old ideas and complete with the idea of preparing for new ones, it can alleviate. Now, to some degree, there is a particular substance which you can ingest, which may, not saying in your case necessarily that it will, but may be of assistance. Yes, it is.
What? Okay.
Take it in tea form.
Tea form. Okay. And is that something I feel like I need to do? I mean, I know my period will stop.
All right.
It just, seemed like a long time. That hadn't happened to me before, as I can remember.
What if, for 2 weeks, then that was maybe the last time ever? Would it then seem like a long time? Maybe you are getting them all out of the way. Toy with any variation of this idea that you wish to.
Yeah, I was also thinking about the idea of flow, idea of flow.
Very good. Now, also, the idea that you are exploring one end of the spectrum of the idea of the regularity of a cycle, and then you will then explore the other end.
No, I am. It's like I get my period more often right now, and now this long
All right. You can find that within what you call 3 months of your time, the periodicity can begin to increase and increase and increase and increase. And the resonant vibration becomes deeper and more connected to the earth. And in that way, you will find there will be less need for that symbol. They will increase in the period of time between them. As you now extend the swing of your pendulum and be in sync with the vibration of the earth crystal.
Okay.
Does that mean you're going to be a swinger?
I am a swinger. Now, I have one more thing, and I talked to you earlier about my eyes. Do you see at this point any reason why I should go to an eye doctor for any physical reasons? I know maybe...
If you feel that your belief system will be accommodated if you do, then do so.
But otherwise, physically...
To us, there is no difference.
Well...
If it will put you at your ease, do so. If it does not really matter to you, then do not. One way or another, you will see what happens. One moment. Will you, for a moment, place your facial structure on the 3 points of the channel's hand, forehead, and 2, what you call cheekbones.
Okay.
Describe any change in sensation in any way that it manifests.
Stopping the thought. Some heat. A vibration in my right eye. Now, I feel like it's steering me.
Yes.
I feel like it's steering me.
Go with it. Relax into the motion until you become sensitive to the direction and simply go with it. Relax more. Move with direction. Very good. Take your hand and do this to yourself. And think electromagnetism.
Okay, well, just from the right to the left? Is that
it does not matter.
Oh, okay. Electromagnetism.
Then, the other way, electromagnetism.
Alright.
Then, bracket yourself, electromagnetism.
Okay.
Then, electromagnetism.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Now, you have, in a sense, symbolically taken a scan of your entire apparatus. You have the picture complete within your imagination. Call that picture up. What does it look like? If you were to look at it, so to speak, like an X-ray, but not necessarily restricted to the skull. Any variation in color at all?
Orange red comes to mind, and
Where?
Actually, I nowhere in particular. It's kind of like an outline of my head, in orange and red, with checks in the background.
All right. To what area is your attention called? regardless of what your physiological idea is.
My nose.
All right. Up in the top or down at the bottom?
No, the top.
All right. Then place a little, tiny bit of pressure on that area and allow your eyes, while closed, to look as far up as they can and as far down as they can. And then let go and come back to center.
Okay.
What do you feel?
What comes to mind is center.
All right. Is there any action in your temple areas? Was there any sensation in your temple areas?
No.
One more time. Pressure on the upper bridge of your nose.
Is it the temple, like the forehead area?
Temple.
Like the eye, just above the eyebrow?
Temple.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Look up, look down, let go, look center. Any feeling in the temple?
Well, there's a slight aching when I look up and down all around the whole eye area. That's that aching that I told you about.
All right. Just up, just down. Anything below the ache?
Below the ache. I don't understand the question.
All right. Describe in any way that words come to you any sensation in the temple area other than the ache.
Tightness.
What about fuzzy reverberation?
I hadn't thought of that one. Fuzzy reverberation.
Yes.
Like
you might imagine a low sound beating against your eardrum might make. Now, place the pressure on the bridge of your nose again.
Okay.
Look up while your eyes are closed. Look down. Come back to center and let go. Open your eyes. Now, imagine that your temples are vibrating slightly when you do that, as if you were pushing them out of shape and then letting them come back, but you still can feel the reverberation a little bit, and then it dies out.
Okay.
You follow me? All right. Now, do it one more time, and let go. And allow the fuzzy reverberation to begin to blend with the idea of the pain.
Oh, okay.
So that it becomes more like one sensation. All right?
Okay.
Can you do this?
Sure, yes.
Does it feel like that? Tell me when it feels like it is a blending of the two ideas.
I have this thought that at right this moment I can't blend the ideas, and that's the thought that I have. It's like I feel the pain, and then the idea of the fuzzy.
Do not make too much of a demand on yourself. Simply use your imagination. Become lost in your imagination for now. You know that the pain is still there. That is all right.
Okay.
We are not asking you to get rid of it. We are asking you to blend it with something else.
Okay, right this moment. Yes.
All right. Now, begin in your essence energy connection to dialogue with that vibration, to identify it for yourself, and use it as a symbol to represent the underlying energy that manifests the pain.
Can you say that again, please?
Have communication with the vibration through the experience of the idea you already know about communicating with essence, then allow that vibration to symbolically represent the idea of the underlying energy which creates the pain. It is the energy you are using to create the idea of having pain. The more you begin to talk to it as energy, the less it will need to complete the manifestation in physical terms as pain. Allow yourself this exercise anytime you feel like it for the next 3 of your weeks.
Great, thank you.
Now,
Yes.
if at any time during this exercise you should think of the moon, then also think of the earth. If at any time you should think of the earth, also think of the moon. And see what kind of vibration you come up with at the end of 3 weeks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over there, female.
Yes, could you please tell us what your planet looks like?
Very much like the green portions of your own to some degree. It is mostly what you would term to be park-like. There are forested areas. Recognize that the surface of our planet has very few structures upon it. They are very simple in form and not congested together. The majority of our civilization at any one time lives in spacecraft off the planet, fully 2/3 of the population. Therefore, there is no need for there to be many dwellings upon the surface. It is, as you would say, temperate in climate. In general, there are slight fluctuations, but not to any great degree. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Will this have answered your question?
Do you enjoy the water and the green
Yes.
like we would?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, fine. Yeah.
Bashar, question. Being an epileptic for 30 years and stopped taking medication the last 3 years, my first question would be is, why did I ask or put myself in that position of requiring it at this place? Can you answer that? Is that not okay?
First, allow me to ask you what has been the result for the past 3 years.
More attacks. But no, not taking really any drugs every day.
Do you feel that it is easy to love yourself? Unconditionally? All right. Can you picture yourself giving yourself a big hug? How does that feel? Now, the first thing, therefore, I will suggest is that if and when you should create the idea of a so-called attack, that you carry this image with you into the attack. And it will allow you to alleviate bit by bit any reasons for the attack, for you will be taking the love of yourself into the attack, and you will be using the weapon in the attack of love. So nurture yourself in the midst of the attack, and you will snap out of the scenario of being attacked. Now, for the most part, this is to some degree why the idea of getting through with very quickly the idea of attack in and of itself, since it has played a great part in many of your lives, you now saw very quickly that you wish to consolidate and put yourself through an accelerated version of what you now may call a sense of infirmity or instability or having a shaky foundation, so that you can accelerate yourself very rapidly through this idea so that you will be in step with the transformation as it is going on, seeing as how, in your terms, up to the very last moment, so to speak, up to the very last life previous to this one, were you still going through, in very bold physical ways, all the ideas of being attacked and attacking others. Now you are attacking yourself. And in this way, it is an opportunity for you to accelerate all the ideas that have to do with the dominion of self-commandment and the idea of self-empowerment and the love that allows you to recognize self-empowerment. You will now find that there is no need to attack yourself for having attacked others or creating a scenario where they can attack you in other lives. This is why you have given yourself the opportunity to place upon yourself all the attacks that you have ever done or perpetrated or had perpetrated on you, so that you would, in your terminology, in your way of thinking physiologically, balance all of that idea of self-created karma, and so very shortly be in sync with this transformational life, and then allow this physical life to be the last one that you need in the earth cycle.
What I don't understand is I just became aware about a year ago that if I was really offered the chance to erase it this minute, that I wouldn't really want to erase it in totality.
No.
That it's been more like a friend than an enemy.
Yes, because it has been serving you, as we are saying. It allows you to feel the sense of the overall erasure of all that you have done in previous lives with regard to attacking. And you will play out every one that you need to play out. But now that you are understanding this, it is an opportunity for you to wean yourself out of the scenario by going into each attack, loving yourself and hugging yourself completely. So that when you awake out of this entire dream that you are creating, you will be able to stand solidly, firmly, stably, recognizing the core vibration that is unshakable within you, unassailable, unattackable within you. And then with that clairvoyance of your own life, with that clear light that you will know yourself to be at that point, you will then be in step with the transformation of the entire civilization. You will be of service in that way, and then you will know that you have, because of this acceleration in this life, allowed yourself the opportunity to know that you are completed with your earth cycles of reincarnation. You follow me? Therefore, simply take with you into each attack love of yourself, and they will lessen. For now, you can begin to wean yourself slowly from this process. Wake up from that dream into another one, all together. All together. You may also take with you our unconditional love into each adventure within yourself. You have our support for the very creative way you have chosen to express your beingness and the unique facet of all that is that you are. We thank you for your expression of love and sharing. Thank you.
Bashar?
You.
Do you on your planet think the way we do, in a sense that you observe different pieces of data and put them together and process this information to come up with new information, or do you just know?
It is more along the line of knowing, although we will still create some idea of processing in time, but not in the manner in which you do. It will be more simply the jumping of relationship to relationship.
Okay. Now, when you've said that you are exploring sixth and seventh density,
Right.
what kinds of processes do you use to do so?
Simply in this way, the idea can be done in many ways. Mentally, can be a meditation of sorts. There are some technologies that we have created upon our planet that create certain types of fields that will assist us in generating the projection of our consciousness to those levels. Simply, much of that is what you call out-of-body experience.
Okay, when we are in different states of brainwave frequencies like alpha and delta and so on, are we actually in different densities? Or no?
You are in different ideas of third density.
Uh-huh, okay.
You are enacting some of the idea of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious separations that you have created in third density reality. What you call alpha, somewhat conscious, theta, subconscious, delta, unconscious.
So when we have out-of-body experiences, I don't know what the brainwave correlation is to that.
The brainwave of the body at that time is usually in delta.
Delta.
Since you are unattached.
Right.
And the body is functioning automatically.
Okay, so the experience we're having during those out-of-body experiences would be fourth density type of experiences?
Yes, you are no longer physical as you understand it.
Okay, so
it is a non-physical fourth density. There is a physical and a non-physical fourth density.
Okay. Now, in one process I did once, it was a long process, but there were several segments of experiences, and in one of them, I came out of it and I said, wow, I just experienced eternity. And there's no way I could describe what happened during that time except the feeling I had.
Correct. It is an experiential idea.
But the funny thing I did remember was that, you know Mr. Spock from Star Trek series? He was in there, and I asked myself some Bashar type questions like, you know, what does it represent to me, namely logic and so on.
Yes.
And I thought maybe he was in there because it was paradoxical.
Very good.
Do you have anything to add to that?
The idea simply that many times paradox will not fit into logic as you understand it.
Right. Right. The other thing that I was...
But that in and of itself is the type of experience that we were speaking of before with regards to the idea of being connected psychically. To those that exemplify the idea of pure logic, it may not seem logical, but it is real. And it is the experience in and of itself that simply does not have terms that exist in the old logic that you have created upon your planet.
Okay. Well, the other thing that Mr. Spock sort of represents is the half Vulcan, half human, namely a blending in a way and a conflict between two civilizations.
All right.
Would that have anything to do with being in that experience as well?
You are simply telling me that the entire idea behind that being is one of paradox,
right. I see.
is one of polarity.
That's true. Right. So, can you tap into that experience I had and tell me what density I was experiencing?
It was, in a sense, a fourth density experience. But the symbols that you are using are third density symbols.
Okay.
Because that is how you can make sense of it here.
Sure. Right.
That is not reflective of exactly what it was you actually experienced in fourth density. That was simply more of a knowing understanding. Then when you came back, so to speak, you created the scenario that seemed to occur at the same time of the experience, but did not really, but gave yourself the symbols by which you could understand the understanding in that state that you had of what polarity is all about and how they are both in you
Uh-huh.
and from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Then you.
I just want to share this experience with you, and then I'll get on to what I really wanted to say.
One moment. This is something you do not really want to say, what you are willing to share.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Well, that's not what I meant.
Thank you.
There's been a few times during the night, and the other times I've been here as well, where the seems to be emotion. I don't know if it's emotion. It's not any emotion I know common to whatever. Anyway.
Then perhaps it is not emotion.
Okay, then maybe it's not emotion. Where I have this feeling.
Yes.
And you, by answering somebody else's question, it seems as though you're speaking directly to me.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
We are addressing the mass consciousness as well as the individual consciousness.
Okay.
And thus, you will always be able to perceive that whatever idea you resonate to and vibrate to, you will translate to yourself for your individual needs. Thus, we are, in an overall sense, speaking to each and every one of you collectively and individually. The band of communication touches all of those levels, and you will tap into whatever level you wish to tap into and make of it how you wish to perceive it.
Well, I can't seem to stay on the level to get my question answered or the seeming conflict resolved.
What conflict?
Well, it's been suggested to me by my sister who's a nurse and by kind of like a priest, but not a priest, not a Catholic church, that what occurred to me almost 7 years ago was actually traumatic amnesia rather than an exchange of
consciousness?
Yes, consciousness.
And what do they think is the reason for the traumatic amnesia?
Well, getting hit by a car.
All right. Now, understand first of all that as we have discussed before, the idea of all the different states in which consciousness can manifest itself all serve purposes. And in all reality, if I may, I'll say, be general in my terminology, it does not really matter what label is put on an experience if simply you have utilized the experience for the understanding of yourself. Now, if you wish to identify with the idea of exchange of consciousness, then that is what gets you where you want to go. If you wish to identify with the idea of traumatic amnesia, that is where you need to go in that idea. But also, recognize that in our civilization, as we have said previously, it is not so much a matter of accurate. Yes. Otherwise, why would you feel so ill at ease about your own situation and need to seek outside yourself for an answer? You are asking me to tell you what is going on.
And if you're a reflection of me, okay,
this does not remove.
Going outside myself and asking.
One moment. The idea of a reflection is still contained within you, yes, but because you have created it to be something separate. The action of knowing for yourself without needing to create a question then exemplifies that you are not making a separation out of the reflection, but that you are being the reflection and discussing equally the idea. Now, this is our perception of your situation. You used the incident of what you call the car accident to put you into a state of traumatic shock that would allow you to completely change the level of the consciousness that you are. In a sense, you did make an exchange, but basically you exchanged an old idea of yourself for a completely new idea of yourself, which in all reality is a different being. This to us encompasses all the labels that you have used, and is accurate and valid on every level that you wish to describe it. It is a state of traumatic shock. It is amnesia in the sense that, of course, you do not have the memory of another you. You have your memory, because you are a new being. It is not amnesia in the sense that there needs to be any idea of a continuous flow from an old you to a new you, because you have created the new you completely. And therefore you have your own memories and your own reality, which are all valid to the new you that you are, not the old you that you were. You are a new reality, a new concept itself, a new universe itself. That is how we perceive why you used that incident to jolt you into a higher state of existence. That was your symbol, your method of kicking yourself upstairs. Now, therefore, the exchange of personalities and identities and memories is the product of the willingness to be that new you. And compared to the old you, it is a new being. You follow me?
Oh, yeah, I sure do. I'm not... God had a... You see, it's not the lack of acceptance... Can I talk now here? It's not the lack of acceptance of what... Oh, my God! It hasn't been the lack of acceptance of what has taken place, not the accident, not, oh my God, I can't believe this person. It's been the fact that it's not. It's like knowing that the change has taken place and everyone. It's like those who've known me from the past who kind of shoved me back into some sort of hole.
Yes, into their idea of the past.
Exactly, and I'm fighting. You know that every single person that has been before the accident, often even, am I making sense?
Yes, you are. Perfect sense.
Okay. There's only two people in my life right now that exist as present time friends, Steve and Lenny. Everybody else has dropped off the line and it's been almost miraculous that, for some funny reason they don't want to be part of my life anymore, which has been like God's gift to me. But, oh, God!
Now that you are enjoying yourself, then simply relax into your enjoyment and love the you that you are now. And then you will allow the reality that reflects the you are now to bring you whatever friendship is there in it waiting for you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to love all of you. There will be, in your terms, a few more minutes remaining. Sharing. You. Then you.
You may recall several months ago, I asked you about the fact that when I placed my thumb, little finger, and forefinger against similar fingers on the opposite hand, it didn't do anything for me. And when I rotated, I got some kind of sensation, and you indicated that I was more interested in alternate cells. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Well, I found it quite interesting since, particularly since November, I had been integrating my future self, and I've come to the realization that now the symmetrical relationship has a lot of meaning to me. I just want to share that integrating my future self is just a real
kick. I'm having the greatest time ever that I could ever imagine. It's just been terrific. So that's my sharing.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
I recognize myself as the idea of the blending of the civilizations, and I have a couple different ways I can go with it. One is I wanted to ask you to lead us in a short meditation with the idea of integration, the resonance of integration. The other is I wanted to hear some words or the resonance of the kind of teaching or learning you're doing related to the serious energy.
All right, my human friend. Now, therefore, allowing yourself to center in the being that you know yourself to be, within this blending of the conglomerate of all ideas of consciousness, you can then, at this time, allow yourself the manifestation in your auric field of the blending of all auric fields of the idea of the creation of a spin, of an energy vortex exactly where you are right now. The entirety of your being, the entirety of every being with you right now, the idea of the blending of an energy vortex, so that you can partake of the idea of the motion. That is what gives rise out of the fundamental unconditional love of all that is in the energy field, that is the foundational experience of your physical reality. That motion that gives rise to the idea of the momentum in your reality, the idea that you are a spinning sphere, 360 degrees of yourself in every direction, infinitely, for every direction, both outwardly and within. And therefore the idea of all the colors, all the light, all the energy, all the beingness, all the fabric, all the material, all the matter, all the ideas of focus, all the ideas of expansion, all the ideas of crystalline clarity, all the ideas of polarity, all the ideas of the support fluid, the electromagnetic effluvium that you all breathe in and out and speak with to each other's minds, the one thing that connects each and every one of you together, the sea in which you exist. That is your lifeblood. It is the lifeblood of your physical mentality. It is the idea that your personality has chosen to be. It is the idea individually. It is the idea collectively. Live and breathe through the gills of your own understanding.